bringing you the latest news from Lubbock High Athletics. This is the Westerner Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Good Wednesday evening. I had to think about it there for a minute because we were not here Monday. We won't be here next Monday either because of the high school basketball playoffs. So this is Wednesday, just to get it right in my head. I'm Randy Rosetta. This is the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and Fox News Now. I want to make sure I get that right. We a couple nights a week we do this. We talk high school sports with the 8 public high schools in the greater Lubbock sphere. Tonight is Lubbock High, Coronado, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper. Mondays, which we've had to skip a couple because of holidays and basketball playoffs, are Estacado, Monterey, Memorial, and Liberty. We'll get those folks back on soon. Hopefully there'll be some more basketball to talk about when they come back that following Monday. There's still a couple teams playing, so it would not surprise me at all. In fact, I have a hunch that at least 2 of those 3 will still be playing. We'll have plenty to talk about. Lubbock High is not playing in the basketball playoffs. And I'm going to say this. Victor Gomez is my guest for the Westerner Fan Zone, the 3rd year, 4th year?
This is my 4th year.
4th year baseball coach at Lubbock High. And I will tell both of your coaches this when I see them. Records don't look great, but I respect the heck out of what both Jose and Gerardo did this year. Different circumstances, but the Lubbock ISD athletic admin folks and Juan Rodriguez did a great job finding people to put in those jobs because they're not easy, as you know. But those guys are going to get those programs to where they're competitive.
Yes, they're doing a good job.
It's going to be tough here these next few years, and we're going to talk about the baseball district as well. Mm-hmm. These next few years, you got that monster to deal with in both basketballs. But I'm a big fan of both of them. And plus, Jose didn't have to, and just said, "Hey, Coach Wagner, you guys need a game? We'll finish up with you."
He played up yesterday. He had a game.
Yep, and kudos to him because high school kids, they don't get a whole lot of them. So why not give them a chance to play in town against one of the premier programs, one of the premier coaches in West Texas, and good for them. And I know Coach Wag was appreciative because I saw the picture afterwards. Coach Wag is the most picture-taking basketball coach I've ever seen.
He stays fresh.
Yes, he is.
He's ready.
But by the way, when they played Liberty the second time, did you catch his what the kids would call drip that night?
I was there. I went and watched
plush
that game.
Green velvet jacket, and I don't know if you noticed. I do because I told him afterwards. My wife makes fun of me, but I noticed he had matching green and white Adidas shoes to go with his jacket.
You got to match if you're going to wear it. You got to match.
All right, let me test you on this. Do you mix brands?
Me personally, I will because I don't have. I don't care as much about it, but
I can't do it.
I used to put it in my head. I didn't like to.
No,
but
I can't do it.
I'm slowly coming over to more Adidas stuff.
Yeah, you've got to kind of blend Under Armour and Adidas right now because they're kind of making the transition.
Yes. I think I'm all Under Armour today, but yeah, I have my Adidas. We were at practice.
Well, I'm glad to know that somebody else in the world there's something that pops up on Facebook every once in a while. It basically says, "Don't do it," and I'll show it to my wife. I'm like, "This is."
Yeah, you're not supposed to cross brand. Me, it doesn't. I mean, I try not to, but it's not a necessity.
I've gotten weirder as I've gotten older. So before we jump in and talk Lubbock High baseball, and like most teams, I think we were just talking about this. I think Liberty is the only public school team that has started the baseball season. This is opening week of high school baseball for UIL schools. A few trickled in. Liberty beat Littlefield on Monday, I believe it was. Went up there and won 11-1. I think all the rest of you head to tournaments this week to get things going.
I believe so, yes.
And I'll run through that list because Brad Bibb, Coronado baseball coach, is coming on next. So we're going to be baseball heavy this first 40 minutes. In my fact, since we are going to do that, I'll hold off on some of the playoff basketball stuff. There's a ton of basketball going on. I just finished up the playoff schedule for Lubbock teams, and man, it's going to be busy. My wife she's used to this time of year, and she's used to when the baseball, softball playoffs get here, that she's just going to be a widow for about a month.
Yeah, you stay busy when it's that time.
And we're going to talk about Lubbock High getting back into the baseball playoffs here because you at Estacado, you were used to that. Your family was used to not seeing you for a while.
Yes.
What's the deepest you guys went? When you and Giannis were together?
I think we went to the 4th round, maybe.
Regional championship.
Fourth. Maybe 3rd round.
Because I know I've covered a bunch of your games, like against Seminole, against where was it that David Thetford renamed you?
Oh, that was
against one of the El Paso teams. It was really
it was
good.
El Paso. I don't know, maybe Riverside or the Lions, maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry, David Thetford. If you're listening, I apologize. It was Kelly Robinson who renamed.
It was Kelly. Kept calling me Johnny.
Yep, which is, you know what? If there's nothing, that's not the worst thing in the world, because Johnny's still playing.
He is. He's at LCU right now.
That's what I thought. Him and then Keanu is at.
No, Keanu's done. He graduated.
Okay, I know. I've seen those guys pop up offering. And tell you what, young kids in Lubbock, Texas, they don't have to swing a dead cat to find young, good former high school players who have made their mark on Lubbock, who give lessons, because there's a bunch of them out there, and I hope that folks are taking advantage of that.
Yes, I think it's good that they're doing that too. I think it helps.
You're younger than me, but when we were growing up, those opportunities weren't necessarily out there. Dad helped you a lot. You hoped you had a good summer coach, and then you kind of had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Just play a lot, which Lubbock High is getting ready to play a lot. Tell me about the tournament you're headed to this weekend, because there's several of you guys going to that, right?
Yeah, we're heading to El Paso tomorrow. First game is at 12:30 tomorrow. We play at Chihuahua Stadium over there, so it's always nice to play in that ballpark. It's a nice field. So we play El Paso Franklin first, and then
solid program.
Then we'll go and we play El Paso. I believe we play Pebble Hills after that tomorrow. So we have 2 games tomorrow, 2 Friday, and 1 Saturday.
Pebble Hills, and is that the one that comes up to the tournament here and tends to do okay?
I believe so. I've never played against them, but I think so. And then we'll face Americas, which we've faced them before.
Yeah,
we'll play Americas on Saturday, and we have El Paso, Chapin, and Dorado, I think, Friday.
If you're going to go down there, you want to play the best of the best, because it's a long trip. 12:30, you guys are leaving at what, 4?
About 5 in the morning. Well, we'll gain an hour there because they're in the other time. So
you can justify it all you want. That's still a long drive.
Yeah, it's a long drive.
You're going to San Antonio next week. You're making a long drive, but when you get there, you're in San Antonio. So that's the cool part. So in El Paso, maybe it's because I had to go to boot camp there. El Paso's not my favorite place in the world, but it's a good place for baseball at this time of year, which is where Lubbock High is headed. We'll come back after this break, talk more Westerner baseball with Victor Gomez on the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Lubbock High athletics. You're listening to the Westerner Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. I'm Randy Rosetta. This is the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I teased my daughter because I told her that she didn't have her laptop at home. I asked her if she was wanting to live by like the pioneers, and then I just got in here and realized I brought a different laptop and I haven't been able to log in, so I had to fake it there for the first few minutes. I'm still trying to get logged in. It may just be me and Victor talking. I may have to go throw back to old school, kind of like using a wood bat in baseball. The El Paso teams you faced, have you kind of looked to see what they did last year to give your guys an idea, or do you just when it's a new season, you just start from scratch and say,
I mean, you can look at schedules from the year before, and sometimes it doesn't really carry over, and then it just depends. When you come from out of town, from Lubbock, I think we saw everybody's number 1 or 2 pretty much.
Right? Yeah,
when we went down there.
And that's the thing. When you do get down there, El Paso teams have probably for years have had that chip on their shoulder of they don't think we're very good. Let's get those Lubbock teams because El Paso baseball you run into some good teams.
I think especially when you play at the stadium, you see, like I know the last 2 years we've seen at the stadium, we saw a kid who signed with Odessa College, and I think he got drafted this year. He was throwing, I bet you his 110th pitch was about 93.
Man.
And then that was with Socorro, and then we played, I think Coronado there last year, and their kid had signed with another school, and he probably touched 90 a few times and was high 80s because they have the radar up there. It'll humble you out there if you're not. Humble some of my guys. They thought they threw hard, and they did, and they got out there and radar put it where it was at.
Well, let's talk about your guys because I know you have. Let's pull this bandage off. You guys were a game away from making the playoffs last year.
We were there where we were playing to try and make it, and when we lost the first game to Plainview, we kind of We ended up playing the second one, and we lost 2-1, but it was a different lineup the second game. It was our last game of the season, so I want all the guys to get some playing. To all our seniors, we had a big senior class, but we went out there and competed, and we ended up losing 2-1.
Brandon Gilliland lives 5 houses down from me. If you want me to, I can go throw something in his yard or something for him if you want.
He's a good guy, good coach.
He is a good dude, and they had a good team last year, and he's got some guys coming back, and they're coming off some football success too. And that, like you know this from being one of Juan Rod's under or sub-varsity coaches, that builds a little bit of confidence when you have some success in football.
Yeah, winning always helps. When you win, you feel a little bit better about yourself. You feel a little bit better at practice. You feel a little bit better when it's time to go out there and compete for sure.
I'm going to brag on you because Juan Rod's not here too. You're a great baseball coach, but what you do with the young football guys at Lubbock High, that's going to pay off. That's going to make a difference down the road. It hadn't completely shown up yet, but I know Juan Rod would sit here and say that he appreciates what you do with the young football guys. And that's kind of a baseball coach's thing, because I think Brad Bibb coaches freshmen. Going back to Jimmy Webster, I think he did. And the legend is that Bobby Magel and John Dudley were just as good of football coaches as they were baseball coaches, and that may be two of the best guys that have ever coached baseball.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of always coaching it, but it's not fair to the kids. So when I go coach it, I'm going to coach it. Let's go play.
Did you play football at Estacado yourself?
No, I didn't play football. No. Played at Alderson, didn't play after that.
Lewis Kelly couldn't talk you into it?
No.
How do you say no to Lewis Kelly, though?
I wouldn't have played too much in football. We had some guys there at Estacado when I was there.
Yes,
we had some guys.
They've got some guys again, and they never seem to not have guys in football at Estacado. Did you ever have Lewis for any classes or PE?
Little Lewis, I had his son. Like we had some classes, but no, I didn't. I didn't take PE. I was in athletics.
Okay.
So
Lewis, you've probably heard me say this a dozen times. That's one of my favorite people that ever walked the earth. Big Lewis, just because of the impact he had, and you're a Lubbock guy, so
Yeah, he was there forever.
He had on people, and still has. With Lewis III is now coaching up at Boys Ranch, and probably will coach here again someday. All right, let's go through this baseball schedule. It's big this time of year. This is as busy as it gets for me with HubCityPreps.com, because when I'm getting the schedule ready, it's like 4 pages worth because there's so much stuff going on. We're in the basketball playoffs. Every spring sport has started. Swimming and diving's at the state meet, so we're going to focus on baseball here. Let me go through this real quick. This weekend schedule, you got Friendship at the Central Texas First Pitch Classic, Coronado at the, I don't know if you call that JAG or JAG Metals Classic in Saginaw Azle, Lubbock Cooper at the Round Rock Classic, Lubbock High, Monterey, Plainview, and Liberty at the Socorro ISD tournament. Is that it?
Yes.
And we'll come back to that in a minute. And Estacado Memorial Trinity Christian, Lubbock Christian stay close to town. They're here at the used to coaching this thing, the Shallow Water Rail Yard Classic. I think Estacado even has home games in that thing, or if not this week, next weekend. So you're going to have some company down there with you. You're going to know Monterey, Plainview, and Liberty. Again, I'll go back to this. You want to focus on your team, but you sneak away and try to watch those because your district starts when? Next week?
No, we don't start district till after spring break.
Okay, so it's different. Like softball.
Yeah, softball's playing too. They were playing when I left. They were playing.
So do you try to sneak away and watch those guys?
Plainview plays before us at the stadium, but other than that, I mean, it's such a big place, and we got to take care of ourselves.
You get 4 games or 5?
5 games.
So your pitching's good. You're going to find out real quick.
Yeah,
who's going to be able to pitch. Maybe you may have to kind of put some square pegs in round holes in these things, but that's what these preseason tournaments are for. So we're going to get Victor on again soon once the season gets going. That's going to wrap us up in the Western Fan Zone. We'll be back after this break in the Mustang Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.